Sports mascots were created to hype up fans, dance like nobody's watching, and sometimes shoot t-shirts into the crowd with cannons that look like medieval weapons. But what happens when the mascots face each other and decide the basketball game is secondary? Forget the players, forget the coaches, because we're about to dive into the insane underground world, where mascots stop being silly cheerleaders and start becoming gladiators of pure chaos. The truth is, mascot rivalries are way older than people think. While the NBA was debating three-point lines, mascots were secretly battling over who had the better dance moves, bigger heads, and the most ridiculous backflips. Imagine the 7-foot-tall animals made of fur and foam arguing about which one gets to shoot t-shirts into the crowd first. It's less about strategy and more about chaos disguised in fuzzy costumes. One of the most legendary duels happened between the Denver Nuggets' Rocky the Mountain Lion and the Chicago Bulls' Benny the Bull. The game was irrelevant because the mascots spent halftime turning the court into a circus. Benny pulled out a ladder like a professional wrestler, while Rocky grabbed a popcorn machine as his weapon of choice. Forget basketball, the audience was witnessing furry WWE in sneakers. Fans lost their minds. Kids were screaming. Popcorn was flying. Referees pretended not to see anything. Meanwhile, players on the bench were laughing harder than they had during the actual game. It's the kind of chaos that makes you wonder if mascots secretly run the league. Imagine LeBron James asking for a substitution, while in the background a giant lion tackles a bull in slow motion. And this wasn't even the craziest part. Some teams began scheduling mascot showdowns on purpose. Forget timeouts, the real entertainment was when mascots were unleashed like cartoon superheroes with anger management issues. It turned halftime into a coliseum of slapstick violence where mascots were part athlete, part comedian, and part demolition derby driver. Mascots don't just wrestle for fun. Sometimes they take it personally. The San Antonio Spurs Coyote once tried to steal a hot dog from another mascot during halftime. What began as a snack robbery escalated into a full-on chase across the court, with the Coyote sprinting in slow motion, cape flying, while the other mascot threw nachos like ninja stars. Forget Batman versus Joker, this was hot dog versus nachos in Philadelphia. The 76ers Franklin the dog once squared off against a hockey mascot who had sneaked into the arena. Fans watched in awe as a basketball dog fought a hockey monster, with Franklin armed with a giant foam finger and the intruder swinging a hockey stick. Like a cartoon lumberjack, it was less mascot rivalry and more interdimensional crossover episode. Even the referees get dragged into mascot wars. During one infamous showdown, Benny the Bull grabbed a referee's whistle, blew it so hard it sounded like a train horn, and declared himself the new commissioner of basketball. The ref just shrugged and walked away while fans chanted mascot, mascot. It was the only time in NBA history when a bull briefly replaced Adam Silver. But mascots don't limit themselves to basketball courts. The Arizona Diamondbacks' D. Baxter the Bobcat once ambushed a visiting team's mascot by riding into the baseball field on a mini motorcycle, honking like a maniac. The other mascot retaliated by throwing sunflower seeds like grenades. The players? They just stood around clapping as if this was completely normal. Mascot rivalries have become so legendary that some fans buy tickets just to see the chaos. Forget home runs, dunks, or touchdowns. People want to watch a giant gorilla trip over a drum set while a parrot mascot launches popcorn into the stands. It's not sports anymore. It's Looney Tunes disguised as halftime entertainment. Mascots don't use swords or shields. Their weapons are far sillier. Benny the Bull once brought a leaf blower to the court not for cleaning, but for launching nacho cheese into the crowd. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Suns gorilla carried around an inflatable hammer the size of a school bus, smacking everything in sight, including himself. These weren't mascots anymore, they were Saturday morning cartoons brought to life. Other mascots prefer aerial attacks. The Raptors' famous dinosaur mascot once ziplined from the rafters, cape fluttering, only to crash headfirst into the backboard and get stuck. Instead of helping, the crowd cheered as if this was the highlight of the game. Somewhere, the players were thinking, how do we even compete with that? Food-based weapons are a mascot specialty. We've seen popcorn cannons, t-shirt catapults, giant buckets of slime, and one time, a pie so massive it took 3 interns to wheel it onto the court. The pie never made it to its target. It exploded midair like a sugary firework, covering half the arena in whipped cream. Fans still call it the cream dunk contest. Then there are mascots who take things afar. The Miami Heat's Bernie once tried to juggle flaming torches inside the arena. Security chased him in circles while Bernie cackled like a cartoon villain. The players refused to warm up until the fire was out, leaving everyone wondering if Bernie had secretly turned into Wile E. Coyote, but the ultimate Mascot weapon, the trampoline. Nothing terrifies opponents more than a giant animal costume bouncing 20 feet into the air. Before belly flopping into a pile of popcorn, trampolines give mascots the illusion of superpowers, turning every halftime into a Marvel movie directed by Bugs Bunny. Mascots love to steal the spotlight, and sometimes they forget there's even a game happening. During one infamous night, the Toronto Raptor mascot pretended to eat an entire opposing player by pulling out a giant, inflatable mouth. The player couldn't stop laughing and missed free throws. Forget defense mascots are the ultimate psychological warfare. The Charlotte Hornets mascot once dressed up as a superhero and flew into the arena on a zip line while holding a fake villain hostage. Kids were cheering, adults were confused, and the referee just sighed like, "Here we go again." It was halftime, but it looked more like a Saturday morning cartoon crossover special. In some cases, mascots don't even need props, they just commit fully to chaos. The Milwaukee Bucks Bongo once climbed to the very top of the arena, waved to the crowd, and then dunked after flipping off a ladder 20 feet high. Fans lost their minds. Players? They just prayed the insurance policy covered mascot insanity. One of the most iconic superhero moments came when the Houston Rockets clutched the bear pretended to be the Incredible Hulk. He ripped off his fake shirt, roared at the crowd, and tried to lift the scorer's table. Spoiler, he couldn't, but it didn't matter, because fans cheered like he had just saved the universe. And sometimes, mascots team up like superhero squads. Imagine Benny the Bull, Rocky the Lion, and the Sun's Gorilla forming the Mascot Avengers, running in slow motion while explosions of popcorn erupt behind them. No ball, no rules, just pure slapstick chaos disguised as sports entertainment. Every great rivalry needs a final battle, and for mascots, it usually happens at center court. Forget jump balls, this is where the fuzzy giants circle each other like boxers, bouncing on their oversized shoes while fans chant as if it's the championship round. No one knows the rules, not even the mascots. The only law is chaos. Sometimes the showdown escalates into a full mascot Royal Rumble. 10 mascots tumble onto the court, rolling around in a giant cartoon dust cloud with sneakers, tails, and foam heads flying everywhere. The referees panic. The announcers lose track of the actual game, and fans scream like it's the Super Bowl of silliness. And just when you think it's over, a mascot always pulls out something absurd. A parachute drop from the rafters, a smoke bomb that smells like nachos, or a giant rubber chicken used as a finishing move. The crowd doesn't even care about the score anymore, they just want to see which mascot survives the nonsense. The best part, players secretly love it. Sure, they're supposed to be focused, but even NBA superstars can't help laughing when a gorilla body slams a giant parrot in slow motion. Coaches are screaming plays, but the bench is busy placing bets on which mascot will still be standing by the end. In the end, mascots versus mascots isn't about winning, it's about chaos, laughter, and making sports feel like cartoons come to life. While players chase trophies, mascots chase popcorn buckets, t-shirt cannons, and eternal bragging rights. And that's why no matter who wins the game, the real battle is always fought in fur and foam.